This is Daily Tech Now, where we cover breaking news in the tech industry every day. In today's news, Google has announced that it will block all links to Canadian news articles for users in Canada as a response to a new law that requires tech companies to pay publishers for their content. The decision comes after a similar move by Meta, which vowed to black out Canadian publishers on its platform, calling the law fundamentally flawed. Kent Walker, a Google executive, stated in a blog post that the company has informed the Canadian government about its decision to remove links to Canadian news from its search engine, News, and Discover products once the law takes effect. The law, known as the Online News Act, was recently passed but may take some time before becoming effective. The law aims to address the struggling news industry in Canada, which has suffered from the dominance of digital advertising by tech giants like Google and Meta. According to the government figures, over 450 news outlets in Canada have closed since 2008. Supporters of the legislation argued that it could provide much-needed financial support to the news industry. Google and Meta have been engaged in a battle with the Canadian government over the law, as it would require them to negotiate compensation deals with news organizations for distributing their content. Both companies have opposed the law, claiming that they already drive significant web traffic to news sites. They argued that it is easier to block links to news articles than to start paying for their use. The Canadian government was inspired by a similar effort in Australia, where Meta temporarily blocked news articles before eventually reaching agreements with news publishers. A bill with similar intentions is also progressing in California, where tech companies have threatened to remove all news content if the law is passed. While major publishers in Canada support the law, there are concerns among some media observers. Critics argue that taxing links could have unintended consequences and potentially break the internet if applied more broadly. Transparency regarding the distribution of compensation is also questioned, with some fearing that disinformation sites could exploit the system. Press advocates have expressed disappointment with Google and Meta's decision to remove news articles, emphasizing the importance of public access to credible journalism, particularly in the era of rampant disinformation. They argue that while platforms can critique and offer alternatives, limiting access to news is not the appropriate solution. The conflict between tech platforms and governments over the monetization and distribution of news content continues to be a contentious issue, with implications for the future of journalism and the broader digital landscape. This has been your Daily Tech News, and please subscribe and come back tomorrow for more.